And I'm joined by my colleague Simran Babar as well as Anvit Srivastav on the broadcast to decode this case further. Simran, I want to come to you first. So as per the reports, this techie, his car collided with a drainage boundary and fell into a deep ditch amid dense fog on the night of the incident. Can you just paint the scene for our viewers about the conditions in which he was driving? Was this drainage boundary that the report suggests that he rammed into, was it jutting into the road, which is why this accident took place and he fell into the ditch right after that?
Well, there was no clarity for any commuter on that road to actually figure out where this boundary wall is going to end, and if at all this boundary wall is restricted to a limited area. It then only was revealed after he died, and as the postmortem report has clearly revealed, very shocking and very in fact grieving details about how exactly he died. The postmortem report in fact focuses on that there was mud water that was filled in his nasal passage, and in the heart and the ribs there was at least half liter of water. In his stomach as well there was the drainage water that was filled. Apart from that, in his spinal cord as well there was a fluid. So this kind of a report, which has the medical report after his death, after he was declared dead, this in fact confirms how deep he must have in fact fallen into that ditch after he completely struggled to save himself. After repeated calls were made, he first attempted to call his father and alert everyone around, and then attempted by his own valiant efforts to save himself by climbing onto that car that he was driving. Now that car is also not recovered so far, but when you ask me about how that boundary wall was jetted, the entire scene, which actually became a death trap and the death zone for any of the commuters and largely for Yuvraj Mehta, had no safety signs. It was in fact a very big disaster waiting to happen if we talk about this very side, as the low visibility was prevailing in that entire region. The region is very close to the Yamuna Expressway and the Jewar Airport as well. But despite this being a very prominent and a luxurious side of the Greater Noida, which is upcoming to be a very good center for many commercial establishments as well, this was poorly maintained, and the Noida Authority also had turned a blind eye, given there were many repeated complaints that were flagged earlier as well by the residents and the people, the riders as well, who used to take this very same commute and also in fact felt the same kind of problems while they were covering the entire area due to the low and the poor visibility. The visibility at the time of the accident, let me also tell you, was around 0 meters. So in that sense, even if the car was overspeeding, that is not clear as of now, but as of now what the family has said, that he used to drive on a very normal speed. He used to drive very carefully. He was not at all drunk as well. This is what the family has stated. But even at the same time, even any person driving with the family as well would not be able to make out what exactly lies ahead, because there was no obstruction behind that boundary wall, which was merely present before that ditch. And that ditch, that was actually the builder's side of a land in possession. It was dug at least up to 40 to 50 feet deep, and that is why it became even more problematic to rescue Yuvraj, because nobody was aware about the depth of that ditch, which was left open, which was left uncovered, and on the top of that there was the boundary wall, which was completely compromised. So all things in comprehension have created this very side of a very dangerous death trap for anyone, and on that unfortunate night it was Yuvraj Mehta.
Right. Anvit, before I come to you, let's get our viewers an overview of the case, primarily where the case stands in the wake of this tragedy that has come in from Noida. We still see that several complaints were ignored by the local authorities when it comes to the precarious conditions surrounding the incident site. What you can see over here is that on September 2nd, 2025, there was a letter to the Noida Authority by the Gautam Budh Nagar MP that was completely ignored when it comes to the situation in this area over how these boundary walls were not properly maintained. December 19, 2025, as winter was kicking in, the complaint at the Janusuwai Samadhan portal was raised by certain individuals, highlighting the fact that there was a lot of issues when it comes to mobility in this area. That was also ignored. At the same portal, another complaint was filed on the 22nd of December, and we're heading into peak winters, and you remember how towards late in December the visibility was almost zero in several parts of the National Capital Region. This complaint was also ignored. January 1st also another point of peak winter, same portal, another complaint was raised, that was also ignored. Now this is a portal where citizens can raise their grievances with the local authorities, but as you can see, completely ignored. January 12th this year as well, a letter to the Noida CEO by BJP MLA Tejpal Singh. So not even BJP MLAs and members of parliament were able to compel the Noida authorities to take action in this area. Remember, this is not a rural area. This is a very posh area where this incident has taken place. A lot of construction takes place in those areas, and a lot of construction material is left on the roads. So clearly, when it comes to the grievances, when it comes to the issues that were raised by the locals in that particular site, when it comes to boundary walls, it was completely ignored by the Noida Authority. They couldn't even compel the local builders to put in the safety mechanisms in place to ensure that this incident doesn't take place. And now a 27-year-old has lost his life. Anvit is with us on the broadcast. So Anvit, we really don't know in what conditions was this particular individual, in what state of mind, and what was the speed of the car. We don't have those details when it comes to the driver per se. But when it comes to the conditions around him, we have a very clear picture. There was, as Simran was pointing out, almost zero visibility. And at the same time, given the fact that so many complaints were raised, not even basic reflectors were placed on the boundary wall to tell the riders on the road that there is an obstruction up ahead, which is why this kind of incident was bound to happen.
Certainly, see Ayushman, this unfortunate incident, certainly the police will be looking into the facts as to whether Yuvraj was drunk or whether he was overspeeding. Those are the aspects that they will be looking into, because the FIR has been registered, and officially legal investigation will be done into this case. But certainly, undisputedly, the civic apathy and the kind of probe that has happened so far clearly shows how crippled the administrative system in Noida is, be it the authority, the administration, the police, the fire services, or any rescue or first responders. Starting from the complaints of local residents that there is an open pit and the boundary wall is weak and there's a drain, and beyond that there's a deep pit, and paying no heed to it, the administration and the authority and the civic bodies had paid no heed for a long time following leading to this incident. Then when this incident takes place, we see that it takes 4.5 hours to retrieve Yuvraj out, and that too he was not alive when he was brought out of that pit. So he was taken to a hospital where he is pronounced dead, and this rescue takes time because his father has clearly mentioned that they were very not adequately equipped. The rescuers were not adequately equipped. So he was there, Yuvraj, he was shouting for help, he was crying for help, but not even a single person could get into the pit because they were not adequately equipped. Also, there was NDRF and SDRF had come up with an inflatable boat also, but that also could not be put into the pit. So thirdly, see, there have been more complaints regarding particularly as we talked about the civic apathy, then there are also water regulators that were to be fixed. We have previously shown a document of irrigation department that had communicated with Noida Authority saying that water regulators need to be installed so that any accumulated water can be drained away. That was not done. The letter is of 2023. A budget was also allocated. IT Delhi was also roped in, but that never happened. And this pit, the water that was accumulated, probably it was also the sewage water and drainage water from nearby societies. And had there been a water regulator that was installed, probably there would not be any accumulation of water and such incident would not be caused. Further, in fourth point, was there any lesson learned? Because just 15 days ago another incident had happened. This incident was also brought to the knowledge of authorities, be it the police, Delhi Fire UP Fire Services from Noida, and then the civic bodies like Noida Authority as well as the administration. But even then, even the past 1 month of 15 days of period, nothing was done. So the question now remains that what will corrective measures be taken, or will such areas like vulnerable areas be open for more being more death traps? We previously posed this question to Noida Authority's ACO as well. On certain points he mentioned mentioned that yes, a survey has been ordered by the CEO to find out such vulnerable stretches and mend them and make sure that corrective measures are taken that such incidents do not happen. But a life has been lost, and who will be taking accountability? Because now police will also, when they start their legal investigation, they will be summoning people ideally to come and record their statement and set a legal accountability in this case.
Right. So big questions being raised against the Noida authorities as well as the builders who are managing that particular site. But at the same time, we still don't know in what state, in what conditions was this particular individual also driving his car. That also needs to be ascertained to get the full picture over what happened in that particular area on that night when he rammed into the boundary wall and fell into the ditch and drowned to death. But CNN News 18 Simran Babar also spoke to a truck driver who fell into the same drain. He recounts the horror. He says that he was stranded for 4 hours at the same site with no reflectors, signs or barriers near the drain. He claims that it was just steps from the road, and despite pleading for help and offering to even pay for a JCB to help him, no one came to his aid.
बिल्कुल रोड के साथ में नाला और छप्पड़ था।
अच्छा।
तो इतनी
ओके।
धूल पड़ी हुई थी कि गाड़ी रुकती रुकती नाले में गिर गई।
तो वहां जब आप नाले की तरफ जा रहे थे तो कुछ भी बीच में ऐसी कोई रुकने वाली कोई दीवार या ऐसी कोई भी चीज नहीं थी?
कुछ नहीं था।
पता भी नहीं लग रहा था आगे क्या है?
ना कुछ नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं पता लगा। अगर आप वहां जाओगे, अगर मौका देखो तो रोड से ठीक 10 कदम पे नाला है,
बीच में एक छोटा सा नाला है, फिर उसके आगे पूरा खुदा पड़ा है, वही है ना?
हाँ, जो रोड से 10 कदम पे है। तो मुझे लगा कि गाड़ी मान लो किसी दुकान के साथ हिट होगी या किसी घर के साथ हिट होगी। तो फिर उन्होंने कोई और लड़के पीछे से आए 2-4, उन्होंने रोक के सबको इकट्ठा किया। तो 3-4 घंटे वो लगे रहे। लेकिन
तो आप 3-4 घंटे तक कहाँ थे? आप
नीचे पानी में।
पानी के अंदर आप 4 घंटे रहे?
जी, ये वहां का मौका है जो सब आदमी बताएंगे। फिर उनके बाद जब 3-4 घंटे हो गए नहीं मैं निकला था, मैंने उनको बोला नीचे से हाथ जोड़ के, मैंने बोला भाई साहब आप जेसीबी मंगा लो, मैं पैसे दे दूंगा। तो जेसीबी की बागड़ नीचे आएगी, उसमें बैठ के आ जाऊंगा, नहीं तो कोई सीढ़ी ले आओ।
अच्छा, तो जेसीबी कितनी देर में आई थी?
तो जेसीबी नहीं आई, फिर उन्होंने सीढ़ी मंगाई, कोई सीढ़ी लेके आए छोटी सी।